students, welcome to the class. So in our previous session we were discussing about Asia, a land of contrasts. In our previous session we have studied about the physical settings, extent and location of Asian continent. We studied about the physiography, we studied about the agriculture and crops, right? The same way still in today's session we are going to study still more features of this Asian continent. Okay, let us start studying one by one. Among that, first we will start studying about climate and natural vegetation. Climate and natural vegetation. Okay, climate, as mentioned earlier, Asia is a very vast continent. It extends from the equator to the polar region. When we were discussing about the location of this Asian continent, we have already discussed that Asia, it is a very vast continent. From where it is, it extends from equator to the polar region. As a result, Asia has a wide variety of climates because its extent is from equator to polar region. The same way it has a very wide variety, very different types of climates in different region. Asia has some of the coldest lands in the world. Like polar, it is the coldest land in the world, as well as some of the hottest areas, that is in the central and the southwest part, the driest as also the wettest. See, we can see such a wide variety of climate. Polar, that is the coldest place on the earth, and then what we can find hottest areas in the central and southwest part. The same way we can find the driest as well as the wettest land. This is a different types of climate we find in different regions. The varied climate of the continent is due to several factors such as size, latitudinal extent, physical features, monsoon winds, etc. What is the reason behind this changed climate? It includes various factors such as it may be size, it is the latitudinal extent, and then the physical features and also the monsoon winds. These are the reasons why we find different type of climates in different regions. Now let us know about the temperature of this Asian continent. It varies from one region to another and from one season to another. Since it is a very vast continent, as the climate varies, the same way temperature varies from one region to the another region, and from season to season the temperature is going to vary. We all have experienced the change in temperature, right? In the rainy season, in the winter season, in the summer season, we experience this change in temperature. In January, the southern countries are less cold, but the northern countries experience bitter cold. See, in the month of January, the southern countries of this Asian continent, they experience less cold, but what about those in the northern countries? They experience very bitter cold, they experience very high cold. Verkhoyansk in Siberia is the coldest place. This is going to be the coldest place. Okay. In July, a greater part of the continent is hot with the exception of northern Siberia and the high mountains and plateaus of Central Asia. See, what happens actually is in the month of July, the greater part of this Asian continent is generally having very high temperature. It is hot, whereas except these northern Siberia and the high mountains, plateaus of Central Asia, they do not have this much of hot during the month of July. In some places, the temperature rises beyond 40 degrees Celsius. See, what will be the temperature in the month of July? It will be more than 40 degrees Celsius in few of the places. This is how the temperature is going to vary. Now let us study about the distribution of rainfall. distribution of rainfall. Okay, how is rainfall distributed in the various regions of this continent? Most of the rainfall in Asia is caused by the summer monsoons. See what happens in the Asian continent, most of the rainfall is due to summer, means those southwest monsoons and warm moist winds. But the monsoons do not reach the central part of Asia, which is dry throughout the year. Of course, what happens here is it has the southern part, what it gets most of the rainfall in this Asia, they are occurring because of these summer monsoons. But what happens is these monsoons do not reach to the central part of this Asian continent, and that is why what happens with these areas are dry throughout the year. In winter, the westerlies cause rainfall in the Western Asian countries, but during the winter season what happens? These westerlies, they cause rainfall in the Western Asian countries. Eastern parts of China, the Philippines, Malaysia, etc. receive rain from tropical cyclones. Few of the eastern parts of China and then the Philippines and Malaysia, how do they receive rainfall? They receive rainfall from tropical cyclones. Now let us see about the winter season. Winter season. The period from October to March is winter in most parts of Asia, as a greater part of Asia lies in the northern hemisphere. When we are going to say that it is winter season, from the month of or from a period of October to March, it is known as winter in most of the Asia, parts of this Asia. Why we are going to consider it as winter season? Because most of the Asian continent, its part, it lies in the northern hemisphere. The rays of the sun are slanting in the northern hemisphere during this season. But what happens if the Asian continent is in the northern hemisphere? There the rays of the sun are going to be slanting. Because they are slanting, the Asian countries, they are going to have this winter season. So most of Asia experiences very low temperature and become extremely cold. That is why Asian countries, what they become, they experience low temperature and they become extremely cold during this period of October to what extent? October to the month of March. The atmospheric pressure is high in Central Asia and low over the Indian Ocean. During this winter season, what happens? The atmospheric pressure in Central Asia, it is high and low over this Indian Ocean. Winds therefore blow from the land to the sea. See what happens is, during this winter season, the winds, they are going to blow from the land towards the sea. They are dry and do not cause rainfall. Hence, there is little rainfall in winter. Since the winds flow from the land to the ocean, what happens there? There will be, they are dry, and that is why what happens? They cause no rainfall, and hence during the winter season, we do not find more rainfall. During winter, what happens? Very little rainfall will be there. Now we studied about the winter season. Let us know about summer season. Summer season. The conditions are reversed during summer. It starts in April and ends in September. So most of Asia has high temperature and it causes low pressure in Central Asia. Winds therefore blow from the sea towards the land. They cause heavy rainfall to most parts of the Asia. See what happens in the summer? As we had studied in the winter season, here what is to happen? The atmospheric pressure is high in the Central Asia and low over the Indian Ocean, right? But whereas in the summer season, what happens is the condition is reversed. It is the summer season life starts in the month of April and ends to September. What happens here is the sun shines vertically in the northern hemisphere. So most of the Asia has high temperature. What it causes? It causes low pressure in Central Asia. So what happens therefore here? Wind blows from sea towards the land, and that is the reason why there will be heavy rainfall during the summer season. Whereas in the winter season, the winds were blowing from land to sea, which were dry, and there was a very less rainfall. But whereas in the summer season, what happens? The winds blow from sea to land, and that is the reason why we are going to get heavy rainfall during this summer season. Now next we are going to study about natural vegetation. Natural vegetation. Natural vegetation of Asia is closely associated with climate. What happens? That is understood. Natural vegetation, it is very closely related to the climate. But other factors such as landforms, soils and interference of human beings also have influence on types of vegetation and its distribution. Natural vegetation, it does not only depends upon the climate, but it is also going to depend upon the factors such as landforms, soils and interference of human beings. They also influence on the types of vegetations and its distributions. There is a great diversity in the vegetation of Asia. What happens? We are going to find great different varieties of vegetation in this Asian continent. Okay. So this is about the natural vegetation we have studied. That is, now we are going to study what type of natural vegetations we are going to find. Among that, the first one is the tundra vegetation. What it is? The tundra vegetation. Okay. It is found in a narrow belt along the Arctic coastal areas. Where we are going to find this tundra vegetation? We are going to find this in the narrow belt along this Arctic coastal areas. This belt is mostly covered by snow and ice. See, this narrow belt, it is mostly covered by snow and ice. So plant growth is limited and restricted to mosses and lichens. So what happens therefore here? The plant growth is limited and is restricted to what plants? Mosses and the lichens. This is about the tundra vegetation. Now let us study about the coniferous forests. Okay. Coniferous forests. These are found on the south of the tundra and is also known as taiga forest. Where we are going to find this coniferous forest? We are going to find this in the south of the tundra and it is known as taiga forest. Fir, spruce, larch and pine are the common trees found here. These are the trees found in this coniferous forest. They are softwood trees. Okay. Next we are going to see about the temperate grasslands. What it is? Temperate grasslands, known as steppes. They are found mainly to the west of the Central Asia and is a fringe of deserts and semi-deserts. How they are? It is a group of deserts and also a type of semi-deserts. The low rainfall encourage low growth of grass. Because there is a very low rainfall, we also find very less growth of grasses there. This is about the temperate grasslands. Now let us also see about the desert vegetation. Desert vegetation. This occurs in tropical and temperate deserts of Asia. Where we are going to find this desert vegetation? We are going to find in the tropical and temperate deserts of Asia. For example, we find this in Arabia, Iran, Thar desert, etc. Only some thorny plants, bushes and poor grasses grow here. In this desert vegetation, we can find only some thorny plants, bushes and poor grasses grow here. Near the oasis, date and palm trees are found. There this oasis, what we are going to find? Date and palm trees are going to be found. This is about the desert vegetation. Let us know about monsoon forests. Monsoon forests. Okay. These are found in the south, southeast and east Asia. Where we are going to find these monsoon forests? We find this in the south, southeast and east Asia. Since this region has high temperature and sufficient rainfall, forests grow here. Here what happens here in monsoon forests is we are going to get it has high temperature and even sufficient rainfall is available here in these monsoon forests, and therefore what happens here is forests grow. Teak, sal, banyan, bamboos, sandal and many varieties of hardwood trees are found here. See, in this mountain forest or in these monsoon forests, what type of trees we can find? We can find teak, sal, banyan, bamboos, sandal and many varieties of hardwood trees are found. They shed their leaves in autumn season. During the spring season, what happens? These trees, they shed their leaves. This is about the monsoon forest. Next, we are going to study about equatorial forests. Okay. Equatorial forests. These are mainly found in the East Asia and heavy rainfall areas of the monsoon lands. Where we are going to find these equatorial forests? They are found in the East Asia as well as in the heavy rainfall areas of these monsoon lands. They are evergreen and trees are quite tall. How are the trees here? The forest is almost evergreen and even the trees are tall. Mahogany, ebony, rubber, bamboo and rosewood are the main trees. Next, we shall know about the Mediterranean vegetation. The next one is Mediterranean vegetation. This occurs in the southwest Asia. The important trees are olive, figs and oak. How they are? They are very short trees. Usually shrubs grow here in this Mediterranean vegetation. Now let us study some of the important minerals. Important minerals in this Asian continent. Okay. Since Asia is the largest continent, it has a large and varied mineral deposits. As said earlier, Asia, it is the largest continent, right? Because of its largest space, we are going to find what? We are going to find a very wide variety of mineral deposits. The important minerals are as follows. Let us see some of the important minerals found in this Asian continent. Among that, first one is the iron ore. It is the main raw material for the production of iron and steel. We obviously know that iron ore, it is the main raw production or raw material for the production of what? For the production of iron and steel. Asia is rich in iron ore reserves and has about 30% of world's reserves. See, Asia, what happens? It is very much rich in iron ore. How much percent of world's reserve is there in Asian continent? 30% of world's reserves of this iron ore is present in this Asian continent. China is the leading producer. China, it is the leading producer of iron. India, Turkey, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Indonesia, Vietnam, Kazakhstan and Pakistan are the other important iron ore producers. Apart from China, these are the countries which are the important countries which are going to produce this iron ore. Korea, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, Japan and the countries of Southwest Asia are poor in the iron ore reserves. So these countries, that is Korea, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, Japan and the other countries of these Southwest Asia, there is no much quantity of iron ore present there. They are the poor countries in this iron ore reserves. Next, let us know about manganese. It is considered to be the most important of the ferroalloy metals. Say manganese, it is one of the most important in what? In the ferroalloy metals. It is essential for the production of good quality steel. Manganese, it is very much necessary for the production of good quality of steel. In Asia, manganese is found in abundance in Transcoasia, Central Asia, Siberia and China and India. These are the places where manganese is found in abundance. China is the leading producer of manganese in Asia. So China, it is the leading producer of manganese in Asia. Apart from manganese, we are going to know about bauxite. It is the main source of aluminium, which is one of the non-ferrous metals. What happened? Bauxite, it is the source of aluminium, main source of aluminium, right? And then which is one of the non-ferrous metals. The largest bauxite reserves are found in, let us know the countries where this bauxite is found in the larger quantity. They are Kazakhstan and South Central Siberia. Fairly large bauxite areas, among them comparatively large bauxite areas are also located in China, India, Indonesia, Turkey and Malaysia. Then we are going to see about the coal. Coal is a fossil fuel mineral of a plant origin. What is coal actually? It is the fossil fuel mineral of the plant origin. It is an important source of energy. Asia is rich in coal reserves. See, coal, it is one of the important source of energy, and this Asian continent is one of the, it is rich in this coal reserves, but they are unevenly distributed. The largest reserves are found in China, India, Indonesia, Siberia and the Central Asian countries. China is the largest possessor and producer of coal in the world. See, China, it is the largest country which is having and which is going to produce coal in the world. Coal is available in all regions of China. India is the second largest producer of coal in Asia. After China, India is the second largest producer of coal in Asia. Recently, the Kuznets Basin in South Central Siberia has become a big producer of coal. Smaller deposits of coal, even the smaller deposits of coal are found in places like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Japan, Tajikistan and Pakistan. These are the places where little amount of coal is found. Let us know about the petroleum. It is a mineral oil and very important source of power. For what purpose we are going to use petroleum? For automobiles, railways, ships and also for the aeroplanes. Southwestern Asia has the largest petroleum reservoir which is located in Saudi Arabia. See, Southwestern Asia, they has the largest petroleum reservoirs which are located in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Bahrain, Qatar and United Arab Emirates. These countries have about half of the world's petroleum deposits. See, to what extent? Half of the world's petroleum deposits we are going to find in these countries and produce nearly 25% of the world's petroleum. Some countries of the eastern and southern Asia also have petroleum reservoirs. Apart from these countries, few of the countries from that countries of eastern and southern Eastern Asia, they also are going to get petroleum there. Like for example, they are Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Taiwan, Myanmar, Sarawak, India, Vietnam, etc. Apart from that, recently what has happened is Siberia, it has increased the production of petroleum. Next, Central Asia also possesses considerable deposits of petroleum, that is in Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, etc. They also have a considerable, a little amount of petroleum deposits. Next, we are going to study about major industrial regions. Despite its large size and rich mineral and agricultural resources, the continent of Asia is generally less industrialized than Europe. What happened actually, see, apart from having the Asian continent, apart from having its size large and rich in mineral, what happened is we do not find it is very less industrialized than compared to the Europe continent. The main reasons why it is so, the reasons are lack of technology, capital, conservative attitude towards industrialization, and also the large population which is engaged in agriculture. This is why the Asian continent is less industrialized compared to that of the Europe continent. An area dominated by industries and industrial activities is called industrial region. How we can define industrial region? The place or the area which is dominating, which has more power in the industries and the industrial activities. It is known as what? It is known as industrial region. Industries are concentrated in some areas where there are favorable factors for their location. Therefore, what has happened? Industries, they are already located in some places where favorable factors are available. Major industrial regions of Asia are as follows. They have given few of the major or the important industrial regions present in this Asian continent. Among that, the first one is Japan. There are 4 major industrial regions in Japan. The Keihin region is the greatest industrial region of Japan. It includes which all places? Tokyo, Kawasaki and Yokohama cities. The important industries are textiles, engineering, shipbuilding, paper and cement industries. Next, the Hanshin region, it includes Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto. It is what kind of industry it is? It is dominated by textiles. And then Isbei region, which is spreading along Nagoya city, and it is dominated by textiles and engineering industries. The Kitakyushu region, it includes Yawat, Kokura and Moji. The industries here are steel, shipbuilding industries, machineries, chemicals and textiles. Next, we all are going to know about China. Okay, China, since it is an agricultural country, industrial development is limited. After the communists came to power, attempts were made to industrialize China. We all know that China, it is an agricultural country, and we do not find much scope in industrialization. But after the communists, they came into power, there were attempts to be made this China as industrialized China. Its major industrial regions are Manchuria region, which is dominated by iron and steel engineering and chemicals. Beijing region, it has developed metallurgical, engineering, shipbuilding, textiles and chemical industries. Apart from that, this Shaanxi Botou region, it has iron and steel and farm machine producing industries. Shangjiang region, it is dominated by textiles, shipyards, and then steel plants and engineering industries. Wuhan region, it is famous for metallurgical and heavy industries. Now, India, its major industrial regions are, let us know few of the major industrial regions in India. Which are those regions? They are Hooghly Kolkata region, Mumbai Pune region, Ahmedabad Vadodara region, Madurai Coimbatore Bengaluru region, Chota Nagpur region, and then Delhi Meerut region, Vishakhapatnam region, and Kollam Tiruvananthapuram region. These are the regions in India where we are going to find the industries. The other Asian industrial regions are located in South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore and Malaysia. This is all about the important minerals and then the industries available in this Asian continent. Next, we are going to study about population of Asia. Population of Asia. Growth, nearly 4.2 billion people live in Asia, constituting 60% of the world's population. What is the population? See, it is 4.2 billion people, they are living in Asia. It means world's 60% of population is present in this, lives in this Asian continent. So Asia is densely populated. In 1950, the population of Asia was 1.4 billion. See, in the year 1950 itself, at that time the population was 1.4 billion. The rate of growth was high until recently. Now it has been decreasing. Now this rate of growth is decreasing gradually. Next, let us see about the distribution and density. The distribution of population in Asia is very uneven. Here the population is not distributed evenly. Equally the population is not distributed. Here what happened is uneven distribution of population is there in this Asian continent. Look at the population map of Asia. You will find the greater part of Asia is very sparsely populated, but some areas are very densely populated. Here we can see this density map of population of Asia. Few areas are very less populated and few are very densely populated. The average density of population of Asia is 96 persons per kilometer square. See, what is the average density of population? It is 96 persons per kilometer. But it is not uniform all over the country. But we cannot find all over the same number of persons throughout the continent. The sparsely populated areas include the northern and eastern parts of Siberia, which are very cold, and the deserts of Arabia, Iran and Thar in India, which are too dry, and the highlands of Central Asia. These are the places where we are going to find very less population. Okay. Now let us see the densely populated areas. They include the Great Plains of India, then Bangladesh, China, Japan, Korea and Java Islands in Indonesia. These are the places where it is densely populated. Most of these are fertile level land or river basins. Also, high density of population is found in Myanmar, Thailand, Philippines, Iraq, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Malaysia and Cambodia. These are the places where we are going to find very much high dense population. See, here we can see density of population in Asia, that is this color indicates below. You can see in your textbook how it is, the population is distributed unevenly. Asia is inhabited by different people. This Asian continent, here we can find different kinds of people living. The yellow people of Eastern and Southern Eastern Asia, and the brown people of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and other South Asia. Southwest Asia includes Arabs, Turks, Persians, Afghans, etc. Kazakhs and Kyrgyz are found in the Central Asia. the people of Asia followed different religions. Of course, these are the different places with different kind of people living in different countries, and also people of Asia, they are not only look different but they are also going to follow different religions. This is all about the Asian continent. Because of its wide variety, that is why we call Asia as a land of contrasts. So students, I hope you all have followed this lesson. Thank you.